Good morning. This is Kelley Hobart from Alpaca Direct, and I'm here looking at a couple different seaming methods for seaming shoulders on sweaters. And the reason why I thought this was cool is I was scavenging around online looking for new skills the other day, or not long ago, and I saw this Russian grafting method, and I thought, oh, it's so cool. And I have this, I'm using up scrap yarn to make baby doll clothes. And so you can see right there, there's like sideways twisted stitches, and it has like a decorative element to it. And I thought that method of grafting is really cool because if you look on the inside, it's more structured than the regular Kitchener stitch, and also it adds a little decoration. So I thought it'd be really fun today to compare the Kitchener stitch to this the Kitchener bind off to this grafting method, as well as the typical seaming and how your seams on your shoulders might look different and how they actually will feel when you're wearing your sweater. Because I think the finishing details sometimes get overlooked, and it's so nice to have your finished work look beautiful and have it just the way you want it. I think I was thinking this morning when I was doing this work, and I forgot to bring a sweater, but if you look on the inside of your shirts on the shoulder seams, you'll see two pieces of fabric that are sewn together, and maybe the edges are serged, but that gives your seam on your shoulder a very kind of stiff, structured seam that's not baggy, and it looks great when you wear it. And that's the way most sweaters are built. And so when I think of knitting my sweaters, I want my sweaters to look at least as good as what you can buy in the store. I mean, that's what I'm striving for anyway. So it's totally fantastic. So as we're going along, don't forget to let us know where you're from. Maybe you can let us know what you're working on. If you have a lovely pattern that you are enjoying, go ahead and post that in the comment section with the name of the pattern and the designer so that we can all knit it if we enjoy that as well. And don't forget to push that like button and share with your buddies so that we can learn together as well. And every week we have a drawing. So for this last week, we had some Dye For Me yarns, and I had one that's called Happy Feet, but they're both by Plymouth Yarn Company, and the other that is the Merino Cashmere. This one's Happy Feet, and this is Merino Cashmere. Which one was the winner? Do you know? Cashmere. The Cashmere. Oh, I love this yarn. It makes such a great shawl. They're both great yarns, but I have used this Merino Cashmere a number of times, and it knits up beautifully, nice and smooth and so soft, no itch at all. So for this week, I was thinking, because I don't know, it's summertime and we don't want to use 100% wool in the worsted weight yarns, you could use this Encore. And you see there's one, this one's called Drifting. Oh, excuse me, this one I think is 7 Up. 7 Up, and this one's Drifting.
No, Drifting's the line, the product line. They actually have a name for it too.
Oh, well, I don't have on the back of here which one this is. Okay, so green
And blue.
or blue. And these are, it's a yarn that is a wool blend by a Plymouth Yarn Company. It's machine washable. It's called Color Spun, Encore Color Spun. And let's see what the, is 75% acrylic, 25% wool. And this has a nice 200 yards. What I love about this yarn, I've used it in this blanket here, and I don't know if you can see it, but this is a crocheted blanket. And you know how crochet sometimes gets really heavy? Well, this yarn is super light. It's great for crocheting. So if any of you out there like crocheted projects, this Encore yarn makes a beautiful project.
Isn't that a free pattern on our website too?
I'm not sure about that. That's been a while. I just pulled it off the crib in our spare bedroom. So
I thought it was the Twinkle Star blanket.
no, that's not the Twinkle Star blanket. No, this is in crochet, okay. And the one you're talking about is in knitting. And so anyway, but good try.
That's for the grandbaby.
Yeah, we have our crib set up in our spare bedroom, so when the babies come to visit, they have a place to sleep. And anyway, so it's pretty fun. So yes, okay, now back to our skills. Shall we take a look at them now, Jim? Mm-hmm. Let's take a look at them. I can't lift them because I took off all the pins so that I can enjoy it together. Okay, so if you look, I'm going to be showing them the skills, but we'll just do a brief overview of what we can look at, okay? So this one is 2 bound off edges, and it's seamed. It's a seaming method, and I used colored yarn. They kind of sometimes call it zipping because when you pull it tight, it goes together. But I'm going to take this out and show you what that looks like when we actually seam it together. There's a couple things that will make this easier for you to do. Number one, when you bind off, if you bind off on the purl side of your work, and leave your tail really long, at least 3 times the width of your actual seam that you're going to be making, then you can use the actual tail to graft. So a lot of us forget to leave the long enough tail and have to add yarn. But this is the way, if you do it this way, bind off on the purl side, and then you'll be ready when you come around to do your seaming. You have that strand of yarn that's nice and long and ready for you to go for your seaming. So that's just something to keep in mind as we're going along. Now on this Russian grafting, I showed you how it has the twisted stitch edge there, and it is more structured than the Kitchener stitch, and it leaves a nice, you can't, almost seamless join there. It looks really good, but it has a decorative look to it. So I made mine on purpose fall over the front of this little baby doll sweater. It's going to be, I'm going to pick up the stitches around. I'm just using scrap yarn, and I just made up the pattern as I went. I made my own gauge and just kind of made up the pattern. Now I'm going to pick up all the stitches and make my neckline and then my sleeves. And then it'll be a cute little outfit for baby doll. And then on this last one is the Kitchener stitch where we're going to be putting together, but it's just going to make knit stitches so that it'll be not super structured. And some people have a hard time with the Kitchener stitch, and it's not really as hard as it looks. Also, when you're getting ready to do the Kitchener stitch, if you finish on the purl round, then when you go ahead, you want to leave that long tail again, at least 3 times the width. And I usually do more than 3 times the width, just so I don't run out of yarn before I run out of stitches to Kitchener. So let's take a look at each one. I think I'll take that Kitchener one first, since it's the easiest. And I'll save my best for last, which is the Russian grafting, which is what I was really excited about. These skills I have done over and over. So, but I like that Russian one. It was something different for me. So when I do Kitchener stitch, what I always do is I make a little sticky note. So what this means is we have a little setup, and it's these two right up above this line. And we just do that one time. So on our front needle, we would go in as if to purl. And then on the back needle, you go in as if to knit. And you don't pull anything off. That's just your setup. Okay. And then from here on, we go knit, off, purl on the front needle, and then purl, off, knit on the back needle. So let's do that. We go knit, off, purl, and purl, off, knit. And what you want to do is you want to keep the tension about the same as your knitting, okay? And you can adjust it a little bit, like something like this. You can easily just adjust your tension after you're all done. So you notice that when I stopped on number 4. If the phone rings or what have you, finish the sequence. So you know that when you come back, you're always starting at number 1 again. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So we go, and that way you don't get off kilter and start doing it wrong. Knit, off, purl, and then purl, off, knit. And having that little sticky note, I know some people might think it's, silly or what have you, but you would be surprised when you get to yakking in your knit clubs or what have you, and you accidentally get out of sequence. So, yep, you don't want to have that happen. So we have knit, off, purl, purl, off, oops, knit. Oops, no, we want that to stay on there. Sorry, it kept wanting to fly off. Okay, so we have knit off purl, purl off knit. Lordy be, being a little fussy today, isn't it? I'm looking for my tail. It's hidden in there somewhere. Okay, where is my tail? My tail got stuck in my work. Let's see where it went. Which side's my tail? So you don't want to do what I just did, which is get your tail caught in your work, because then it messes with your tension. Yeah. See how it was messing with my tension and messing it up. We don't want that. Knit off. But you can, like I said, you can adjust it. Purl.
And this is for shoulders, you said?
Mm-hmm. I'll show you what it looks like in a second here. Purl off knit. Knit off purl. Purl off knit. Jeez, I don't know why my yarn is getting so tangly today. Knit off. Go. And you see how I have the stitches on 2 different needles. And when you're doing the Kitchener, it doesn't matter what size the needles are, you're holding it. Just think of it as a placeholder. But you can see when I'm making this that the stitches are perfectly lined up. And then if you have to go back and kind of tighten things up a little bit and kind of make it look a little better, you can do that. And just do it as you go along. Mine got kind of befuddled because of the so that one's purl, and then purl off knit. Knit off purl. Purl off knit. Knit off purl. Purl off knit. Knit off, purl off. Okay, and then you would just weave in those ends, and you can see that. Do you see how the stitches, it just makes another row of knitting. And then if you look on this side, it's another row of, you can't really see the seam too much. This right here, I wove in an end, so that's why that looks a little thick. But it's just like a regular, but do you see how when you put it on your, when you have it on your shoulder, it's not very structured. It's kind of, your yarn will kind of just kind of hang there. It doesn't give you a structured shoulder. So that's why when I saw these other methods, I thought it was kind of cool. So let's take a look at our next sample. And the next sample requires this. Let's see here. So on this one, this is regular seaming. And like I said, I bound off on the purl side specifically so that I could have this yarn right here. And you can see that it recreates knit stitches. And the only thing about this seam, you can see right here how it's really bulky. And it's pretty bulky. So I like it okay, but it's the things I like about it are it's very structured and it gives you a lot of seam to maintain the weight of the actual sweater so it doesn't pull down too much. It's very structured and doesn't pull down. I started taking this out because I wanted to show you on here. I think that the important part when you're seaming it this way is if you can, when you're seaming, get the 10 stitches to line up perfectly. So your beginning and your ending parts are going to be crucial to make it look really, really good.
Why are you taking it out?
Because I want to show them how to put it back in. I wanted to show them what the seam looked like first. Okay. So I did it once at home. And then I took part of it out so that we could do it together. So the thing that I'm thinking of is, see how these loops are straight up like that? What you want to make sure is you start at the loop all the way over here on the side. Because if you count, that is a loop 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then way over here is your number 10. That's number 10 right there. So not forgetting those edge stitches, because there's 10 on the top and 10 on the bottom. So what you do when you do this, if I had my working yarn right here, I could just come in from under here and start right there. But I'm going to use a different color to show you how to do it. So I'm going to go right there, and I leave enough to weave in, and then I roll this all the way to the edge over here. And what you're looking for is you're looking for the loops that are going up. So let's see if I can count to 10 so I can see where to pick up. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and there's that 10th stitch over there. So what you want to do is you want to see if you can find you don't want to pick it up right here, because then your lower loop is up on top. You want to come down here where the lower loop is on the bottom. So the bottom part of the V is what you're picking up. And then from there on out, you go in where you came out. And then what you're doing is you're going to go over, and you're going to be just recreating the stitches. So I'm going to go in where I came out, and then bring that through there. And then I'm going to go up to your top and here. So, and then actually what I needed to do is do this. I needed to go over to the next center spot. Okay, my tail's falling out. Let me show you that again. Okay, so I came up through here, and then I went back into there. And then what you want to do is you want to go one stitch over. Sorry, I got to thread my needle back on here again. And this yarn is a lighter weight yarn, but I wanted it to be the multicolor so you could see what it was. That is, I want to go right into here. There. And then you'll see those two stitches are going to line up. So you grab the bottom part of this V, and then you go into the center of where you were. And then you go grab the V, and then you go up to the next stitch. And you don't have to worry about pulling this tight until you're all done, because you just pull each end and it zips it closed, which is kind of cool. But I'll show you again how the seam gets thicker. Oop. There. Let's take a look and see what this looks like. And then when you zip it closed, you can't even see your working yarn. It's kind of cool. So this one I want to put right to here. And then bring this one down into here where it came from. Okay, now watch this. Don't see.
It disappeared.
It disappeared. It
Like a
made a
magic
very
trick.
structured, and you can see the V stitches are all lined up on top of each other. But here's the thing. See how kind of thick that is? It's a little bit thick. But it actually works good. I like it. It's a very structured seam, and it looks pretty darn good. I mean, I think that's cool. Anyway, so that was the regular method. Now let's take a look at this other method over here. This one's called Russian grafting. Okay, and the things you want to keep in mind when you're doing the Russian grafting. So I have finished up on a purl row for this back needle here. And what that allows you to do is it allows you at the very end to pull your tail right out of here on this last stitch and make it look really, really good. So the first thing you need to do is you use a crochet hook. It does not matter what size crochet hook you use, really, as long as you can grab the yarn, because you're not making your gauge with the crochet hook. The gauge has already been made when you knit the project. So do you know what I mean by that? So the first thing you do is you go front needle, back needle, front needle, back needle. So you would go in as if to knit. And I saw some people going as if to purl on the beginning. And I don't think it really matters other than your stitch might not be twisted. Do you know what I'm saying? But every time you have 2 stitches, you want to bind off one like that. So I did the back needle. Now I'm going to be doing the front needle, and I went in as if to knit, and then I bind that off, and then the back needle as if to knit and bind it off, and go in the front needle as if to knit. Oop. And you got to kind of control your stitches so you don't accidentally drop something. It makes it harder to make it look right if you're having to figure out if you remounted the stitches correctly. That adds more complexity than what we want. And sometimes it can be a little hard to get in there. So just fiddle around with it. Take your time and do, take it slow. It doesn't have to ever be a race with knitting, which is good because you're not competing with anyone, or you shouldn't be. You should just be, it's about fun too. It's not just about stressing yourself out and giving yourself high blood pressure for what? Learning is supposed to be a joy. So you go in as if to knit on the last one, bring it on through. And then what I like to do is do this. So there's one less loop. Because if I have one more loop there, what it does is it makes it look too wide. It gives you a longer tail. So if you just pull that loop out, and then what you can do is weave in your ends. But do you see how nice that looks? It's a very decorative detail, and the stitches are twisted, which gives a little more structure to it. I don't know, I kind of liked it. I thought that was cool. Do you like it, Jim?
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Anyway, just food for thought. That I saw that grafting, the Russian grafting method, and I'm like, oh, I have to share that. That's so cool. And I'm definitely using it on my next sweater that I have. Maybe for one of those Joneses, because the Jones are, the shoulders are joined together like that too. So yeah, it's really exciting. Okay, so let's look and see on our project here where we had
Haven't voted on that one first.
some, oh yeah, you guys don't forget on this encore we have green or blue, and I was thinking 2 skeins would make something really nice for baby. This yarn makes, it's kind of very, very sturdy, beautiful yarn.
Workhorse yarn, right?
Yes, a workhorse yarn. Yep. It's totally fantastic. I like it. It washes up just surprisingly wonderfully. Well, this blanket has been washed in the wash machine several times, and I think that it looks great. It might look great in 20 years from now, I'm thinking. Because I do have blankets from when my kids were babies, and Brandon's turning 30 this year, right? So, yeah, these blankets that are kind of like heirlooms, we just keep them forever. And then we use them on the grandkids. And we're like, that was your daddy's baby blanket. Anyway, it's totally cool. So you guys help me vote on the encore. And then we had the merino cashmere was the winner. And let's see, we have Joanne Owen. Joanne Owen. you won some yarn. This will either make a beautiful shawl, or it could make socks, or all kinds of
Cashmere.
things. You could even do a hat with it.
She could dye it, right? If she wanted.
Yes, and you can dye it if you want to. I don't know if you've ever done the Kool-Aid dyeing method, but it's pretty cool if you go to the supermarket and buy Kool-Aid and then dye your yarn and then make socks out of it. It's kind of cool. I've done that before with my friend Kim, and it was totally fun. So I was thinking for this next Tuesday, I thought maybe we'd go over ways to embellish your knitting using flowers. It's like embroidery techniques.
That'll be the week after, isn't it? Because we're on a vacation next week.
Oh, we're not going to do Technique Tuesday?
We can do it. Yeah.
Well, I was thinking we could do Technique Tuesday on embellishing. Embellishing is fun.
Okay.
I mean, whether you're doing the little French knot or making the little daisy stitch, or, oh gosh, there's all different kinds of things that you can do. So I hope you all have a great week. I hope you enjoyed this Russian grafting method as much as I enjoyed it. And I will see you next Tuesday.